15,000 years ago, the land on Earth was much larger than today. The oceans covered only 1/3 of the planet. Humanity had already built an incredibly advanced civilization. Then one day, a massive comet passed close to the sun. This set off a chain of disasters. The sun's heat boiled the water on the comet into steam. And somehow, Earth's gravity pulled that steam in, turning it into rain that flooded the planet. Later, that comet settled into orbit and became the Moon, Earth's only natural satellite. A flood so huge it raised the sea level by over 2,000 meters. The first great civilization of Earth was erased in a single blow. Stories like Atlantis or Noah's Ark. Maybe they are not myths at all, but memories of that very flood. In that golden age, people could create flying craft like UFOs. Not powered by engines, but by pure thought. They were also much taller than modern humans, because Earth's gravity was lighter back then, before the flooding added all that extra weight of water. Imagine humans the size of dinosaurs, strolling around with ease, simply because gravity had not yet become so heavy. The survivors escaped to the highest mountains. Back then, people communicated through the mind. Everyone could read each other's thoughts, so there was no need for talking. But after the disaster, food and resources became scarce. To protect what little they had, the survivors shut down their mind-to-mind connection, hiding from others where food could be found. And that, they say, was the birth of selfishness, the rise of the all-important me. Kiuchi even wonders if some of the most powerful and technologically advanced left Earth entirely, traveling to other worlds, slowly evolving into life forms that would be unrecognizable to us. 3,000 years later, humanity slowly rebuilt civilization. But the people who survived the first reset were mostly ordinary folk, unable to leave the planet. Whatever knowledge they had was scattered and lost. Advanced technology became myths. High science turned into campfire stories. Over generations, those stories morphed into legends and symbols. The kind you see in ancient ruins or mysterious artifacts. Scientists have a word for these anomalies. Parts, out-of-place artifacts. For example, in 1972, a French factory imported uranium from Gabon in Africa. Scientists found it had already been refined. It turned out to be part of a massive nuclear reactor built 2 billion years ago, which had run for 500,000 years. Nobel Prize-winning chemist Glenn T. Seaborg said it could not have been natural, because nuclear reactions require extremely precise conditions. But traditional history says humans only appeared 200,000 years ago, and only had machines after the Industrial Revolution. So who built it? Mystery. And then came the second reset. About 12,000 years ago, humanity had rebuilt enough to form new civilizations. Agriculture grew strong in fertile lands. Villages became cities. But greed returned. Land was overfarmed. Soil turned poor. Tribes fought bloody wars for territory. Desertification spread. Crops failed. Because of wars, civilizations collapsed again. This was the second great erasure of mankind. Humans had to start all over again. Back to the Stone Age, back to fire pits and pointy sticks. And then, 3,000 years later, boom! Another disaster. This time, the cause was not a comet, not a flood, but something more human. Religion. In the early days, people lived in small villages. They worshipped anything impressive. The sun. That big rock on the hill. A tree that looked a bit suspicious. Over time, these beliefs turned into proper rules. And those rules became religions. The problem: every place had its own favorite god and its own rules. And humans being humans, if your god is different from my god, well, clearly one of us has to be wrong. So instead of trading bread recipes, people started fighting. Egypt was a superpower at the time. A civilization with giant temples, gold everywhere, and a love for dramatic headwear. They also had the Hebrews living among them. But Egypt treated them terribly. Moses led the Hebrews out of Egypt, heading for the Promised Land. Egypt was left weaker. And when a nation is weak, guess what happens? Everyone wants a piece of it. They were invaded again and again. By around 300 BC, Alexander the Great showed up. The guy was basically a world tour on legs. And after Cleopatra's famous and tragic death, Egypt as a kingdom was officially over. This was the third great destruction. All three followed the same sad pattern. Civilizations rise. And then, they fall. But here's the scary part. Each time we fell, the next civilization was weaker than the last. The fourth big oops, the comet, that might end the party. Imagine this. You are living your best life. Drinking coffee? Watching cat videos? Then someone tells you, hey, in about 100 years, a giant comet might hit Earth. Well, that is exactly what happened in 1992 when Tsuruhiro Kiuchi rediscovered a missing comet. This was no ordinary comet. It was the Swift-Tuttle comet, last seen in 1862. Then gone for 130 years like it was hiding in a cosmic Airbnb. Scientists had been looking everywhere for it. When Kiuchi found it, the American Smithsonian Observatory called him up. And their news was not the happy kind. They said, there is a chance this comet will hit Earth in the year 2126. Now let's talk about the size. The comet itself is about 20 kilometers wide. That is already terrifying. But when a comet gets near the sun, it develops a giant cloud of dust and gas around it. This cloud can be 400,000 kilometers wide. That is big enough to cover both the Earth and the Moon together, like a cosmic blanket. And no, it is not a cozy blanket. If this dusty head enters our atmosphere, the friction will heat it up to around 2,000 degrees. That is hotter than your oven, your barbecue, or even the inside of a volcano. At that temperature, everything on the surface would burn. Buildings, trees, cheese sandwiches, everything. For about 2 hours, the Earth would be showered with fireballs. Not a fun fireworks show. More like a global barbecue, with us as the skewers. Earth as a planet will survive. But the surface will be a smoking wasteland. Kiuchi says his mission is to stop this fourth destruction from happening. His idea is simple but hard. Stop chasing material things. Return to a sustainable way of life. Build a society based on agriculture and balance. In his view, we are all part of one giant consciousness. No race is superior. No one is richer or poorer in the place where our souls come from. We are like drops of water that once separated from an infinite ocean, and one day we will return to it. Of course, some people say he is making it up to sell books. Others believe him completely, calling it the most fascinating near-death experience ever recorded. And here is a thought. In the first great destruction, some people escaped Earth in spaceships. What if the UFOs we see today are their descendants? If they never came back, then somewhere deep in the universe, there could be a powerful human civilization watching us. Maybe they are waiting to see if we press the self-destruct button again.